This exercise is called the reverse fly because you're performing a fly motion, but because the direction of resistance is from the front, you're working the muscles more on the back side of your body rather than the chest and those things on the front side of your body like you would with a dumbbell maybe. So we've got 3 different positions we can use for the adjustable arms. There's a couple keys though. Let me show them this, Josh. I've got the strap in the furthest D-ring, the longest D-ring, so that you get full use of the cable travel and as much extension out there as you can get. Right now we're in position number 6 on the adjustable arms. And because it's a little bit lower than Josh's shoulder, he's taking advantage of that position by moving slightly upward. You can see how he's remaining in line with the ropes that way. Arms are staying near straight, maintaining that slight bend. Now, we can change this to position number 5. Because that's almost right even with his shoulders, he's going to go straight forward and straight back. One of the things you're going to have to look at, depending upon your arm length, you may have this tremendous travel requirement or range of motion requirement of the machine, and you might find that if you really want to get way back there, the machine stops moving before you finish. All you have to do is maybe slightly lean or slightly adjust yourself forward on the bench to give you that little final bit of motion. And even if you perform it and you stop 1 degree in front of what you thought you were doing, just adjust what you're asking from your exercise. Those muscles are going to be working just fine either way. Now, one of the things that you get to decide on, let me have this arm for a second here, Josh. You need to decide on what I'm going to call hand position, but it really affects your whole arm. Traditionally on a fly, we see people maintain this position where the palm is perpendicular to the floor here, so his palms are facing each other as he comes in and out. Now, one of the other options you have is not just changing your hand, but when you change your whole arm in order to create a palm down position, notice what happens back here in the shoulder. When he goes palm more upwards, he shifts his whole set of shoulder muscles. When he goes palm down, he changes that a little bit. So basically he's altering the contribution of the shoulder muscles just a tiny bit. And it's not which is better, it's more about just maybe changing them up from day to day and workout to workout so you have a little bit of variation. You're involving the posterior deltoid, portion of the middle deltoid, the back part of the rotator cuff, all the scapular muscles, as you can see very well. But this plane of motion is going to be critical. And we have one more option coming up to position number 4. Because that's a little above his shoulders, he's going to move downward very slightly. So remember, pulley position, angle of the rope is going to determine your path of motion. We looked at 3 slight variations. This one slightly down, a straight back, and one when the pulley was lower in position number 6, moving very slightly upward. This is the standing reverse fly. Now we are going to have the adjustable arms right, as best we can, at the level of Josh's shoulder. For him, I think that's position number 3. So what that looks like in there. So your height is obviously going to vary that for your individual exercise. But we're also going to have the cables attached to the D-ring that makes the handle the longest, and we're going to cross the cable. So your right hand's grabbing the left cable and vice versa. Now, the whole key to this is keeping a very slight bend in the elbow, because it's like a fly motion. And you're going to be working posterior deltoid, some scapular muscles, trunk muscles, posterior part of the rotator cuff, a whole bunch of those guys. But the key is going to be, can you keep your spine stable? That's going to be the big key. So we keep that nice, safe posture and alignment. You can have the feet up on the edge of the foot plate with the ball of your foot and your heel on the ground. You can stagger your feet forward to back if that helps you stay more stable. Whatever works best for you there. Keep your head facing straight forward and keep this plane of motion. Look how Josh is doing this right here. His arm stays in line with that rope so that as he comes back, his arms end up straight out from his shoulders. He doesn't bring them back and down or back and up. He's not throwing them or turning them or all these other things I see people do. So go nice and slow and learn the motion, that perfect path of motion just like this. Now let me show you something. One of the reasons we cross these is to give Josh resistance from the very beginning. If we didn't cross these, let's let that one go. Yeah, just show him here from the right. If we didn't cross them, he wouldn't have any resistance. He'd have nowhere to go with this thing. If you chose to do this one arm at a time, you could turn your body so that you didn't have to cross them, but in essence he's making that same resistance as when we were doing both and doing them crossed. So I just want you to realize why we cross these ropes on so many exercises is to give you the resistance through the entire range of motion.